G'day Australia, it's Tim back again. Well, as it turns out, I'm going to redo this video because some of you good people pointed out a few mistakes I'd made, and I apologise. It's pretty tardy of me, and I shouldn't have done that. But more hurry, less speed, I suppose. And I'm not saying there won't still be some spelling or grammatical mistakes in here, because you got to understand, I am no Rhodes Scholar. I'm not any sort of scholar, to be honest. And having left school at 14 because I couldn't read and write, I still can't spell. So it doesn't matter. But my heart's in the right place, and my focus, I think, is in the right place. And so let's move on. I've added some bits and pieces to this. This is going to be the same, but it's got some more in it. So either way, if you want to put this out again, or if you want to watch it again to get the other bits, you can. If not, no problem. The information is here and you can use it any way you like. And this is just entertainment. Like I said, I'm not qualified in anything. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I've held my integrity in place, so therefore I am not a lawyer. And this is just entertainment and good information. So you can talk about this down the pub with your mates and see how it goes. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up our little PowerPoint again and bring it onto screen and open it up. And there we go, the headquarters of the Centre for Destruction of Australia. That is the Palace of Destruction. And every person that works in there, regardless of whether you're the sweeper of the floors or the Speaker of the House, you are working outside the law of this country. You are working to destroy what was once a great, great nation. Let's move right along. As I said before, I got this off Facebook, and thank you to whomever posted and put it together. 25 million people living in Australia, and 226 of the 25 million reside in these chairs, planning on how to ruin and destroy your family's lives each and every day, and they get paid very, very, very well for it. Now, let me explain something to you. They do get paid very well for it. And I've got to ask you the question, has your life got better in the last 10, 20 years, or has it got worse? And if it's got worse, it's up to these morons. If it's got better, it's up to these guys, maybe. But I doubt that it's got better. The amount of tax we pay in this country for what we get out of it is criminal. And you are debt slaves, thanks to these people. Some of the past and present CEOs of the Centre for Destruction of Australia. And these people are narcissists. You must understand they have no compassion. Please don't try and, draw on their passionate hearts. They don't have one. Well, they do, but it's only for themselves and their family, and they don't care who they stand on, who they screw, or what they destroy to get it. Now, this group, these are responsible for setting in motion the modern destruction of your nation. All our manufacturing was destroyed because of the Lima Agreement. See this bloke here? That was all on him. Every bit of manufacturing, our clothing, our woolen mills, our car manufacturing, every bit of manufacturing, our toys, our refrigerators, our TVs, everything that we made in Australia was taken away by this bloke, Goof Watlam. No amount of rope would have been good enough for him or any of the others. This bloke here, Bob Hawke, Fabian Society. And I don't know about the others, but I don't doubt it. These people are just incredibly smart people. Dangerous, but smart. They hoodwinked the entire nation into thinking they were good people. And we call them the honourable. Well, I can guarantee you that's one damn thing they are not. They are not honourable. The most powerful protection the people of Australia has is its constitution of the Australian Commonwealth. We the people only have a couple of enemies. One is the judiciary, and the other is the supposed parliament. Now, both of this lot They will fight tooth and nail to protect their collective asses, and they'll save each other. They're like a pit of snakes. It's unbelievable. This is our Constitution Act, created on the 9th of July, 1900. This is the annotated version, which gives the explanations of all that's in the Act and how the Act came about and what it actually means. And as you know, I have a copy of this that I have. Well, actually, I've had two. I wore the other one out, figuring all this stuff out. Now, as it says here, the following is just entertainment, not to be taken as legal advice. So let's move right on. Those in public office don't listen to you. You can sign petitions until your heart breaks. You can go and sit in their office and put your case forward. You can do all manner of things. They don't care, because each and every one of them, including the judiciary, are operating outside the lawful constitution. Just as a little aside, you walk into the magistrate's court, and if you look at the court notice, it says your name and who's sitting in judgment, and his name behind it will have quorum, C-O-R-A-M. That means he's a decision maker, not sitting in as a judge or a magistrate, just a decision maker. He has no authority. He's got no more authority than Ronald McDonald, but they hoodwink you. They're operating outside the lawful constitution. Okay, so let's have a little bit of some entertainment here. Let's see what's going on. Now, Malcolm Turnbull's been pushing for a republic for a long time, but look at this. Malcolm Turnbull said back in 2001, why change our proven system? We have Australia's leading, when Australia's leading Republican says, we already have a perfectly good and functioning democracy. It is uniquely Australian system that works well. Malcolm Turnbull in The Australian in 2001. Now, question 3. This was in I got this off another site. Why change a system which the United Nations HDI rating, right? Now, the HDI rating, you can look this up, right? It's on the net, and it's really, really, really interesting. The rating of 187 countries has Australia placed at number 2 in the world after Norway. Now, listen to this. This is incredible. And whose constitution is one of the great democratic documents of the modern world, says Republican professor Greg Craven in 2004. Right? Whose constitution is one of the great democratic documents of the modern world. In the UN's 2011 report, now he's going back a bit, so we've slipped, but have a look at this. In it, 70% of the top 10 countries are constitutional monarchies like Australia, while the vast proportions of low-ranking countries are republics. Australia is number 2 behind Norway. America is number 4. The low-ranking countries are republics. Oh, you gotta love it, don't you? Anyway, the Constitution states that we have agreed to unite in one indissoluble federal commonwealth. Indissoluble means incapable of being annulled. And anybody in that bloody house in Canberra that waves their hand and says we should become a republic has, at the minute they voice that, have spoken treason over this nation. Just get your head around that, because it's indissoluble. Altering our constitution, section 128, subsection 148. A referendum must be held. A double majority, a majority of people in the majority of states and territories must agree to whatever it is they want. No amendment of the constitution can be made without the concurrence of that double majority. Do you see that? No amendment to the constitution can be made. Now, listen to this. This will blow. Look, if this doesn't get you angry, I don't know what will. Whereas the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth and the Premiers of the states at a conference held in Canberra on the 24th and the 25th of June 1982 and the 21st of June 1984 agreed on the taking of certain measures to bring constitutional arrangements, changes, affecting the Commonwealth and the states into conformity with the status of the Commonwealth of Australia as a sovereign, independent and federal nation outside the Commonwealth as an independent. Treason was afoot. Nobody knew about it except all those who had sworn to uphold the Constitution, all those who had put their hand on the Bible and swore an oath of allegiance to this country had now, every one of them, said, we will subvert it. Constitutional law was broken. In 1986, the Australia Act altered the Australian Constitution without a referendum, thanks to Bob Hawke, a self-confessed member of the Fabian Society. Fabian Society, as you know, their whole thing is gradualism towards socialism. Take away the rights of people, take away property, take away everything that you have as your inalienable right. Gradualism. Their motto is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Suits them well. Should be a bloody snake in the grass, but anyway. The acts came into effect simultaneously in the Australia Act in the UK and Australia, which eliminated the remaining possibilities of the UK to legislate with effect in Australia, and for the UK to be involved in Australian government, and for an appeal from any Australian court to a British court. The Prime Minister, the second highest office in the land, and every state premier broke the highest law in the land, and the Governor General sat mute. Snakes, criminals, breaking laws that if you and I tried, we'd go base over apex. Section 51, the Parliament. The legislative power of the Commonwealth shall be vested in a federal parliament which consists of the Queen. They got rid of the Queen on this act, the Australia Act. No referendum, didn't ask the people, put it through under the cover of darkness. A Senate and a House of Representatives, and which is hereinafter called the Parliament or the Parliament of the Commonwealth. There was no referendum, repeat, no referendum, to alter our Constitution, to eliminate the Queen from the terms of the Parliament, of the definition of Parliament. There was no, repeat, no referendum to change our legal system and our appeal system. This is treason at a level that's, I believe, unsurpassed anywhere in the world. And these mongrels are drawing pensions and being paid handsomely. No amount of rope would be good enough. There was no, repeat, no referendum to changing certain measures. What measures? The people were never told, you were never told. And the Constitution says that it is we, the people, who have absolute, total and uncontrollable authority over the government. You've forgotten who you are. Right? Certain measures to bring constitutional arrangements, changes affecting the Commonwealth and the states into conformity with the status of the Commonwealth of Australia. Guys, we have been done like a dinner by those people who we elected, we put in power, and they took everything from you. It's like inviting a gang of thieves into your house. And you go to work and you come home and there's bloody nothing left. They've taken it all, including the house. Come home to an empty block of land. No referendum, it's not constitutional. Remember, if the High Court will uphold one section of the Constitution, Section 44, my mistake, that's where I made one of those mistakes. Section 44, it must uphold every section. Now, the High Court judges don't want to touch this, because they know they're going to have to face the music too. I just wonder, I really, really, really do wonder what the moral fibre of some of these people are. These are judges, magistrates, high court judges, Queen's Counsel barristers. They know the law. They cannot deny that they know the law. And yet, and still, they operate outside it. It's a real worry. If it is not lawful, it is null and void. Means it pay no adherence to whatever it is they're trying to get you to do. A full-blown treason instigated and carried out with a full knowledge of both Labor and Liberal leaders and both state and federal. So it's not whether Labor did it or Liberal did it. They're all in the basket together. It's the Bohica Club. Bohica stands for bend over, here it comes again. And they're all in it. And you and I and our children and our grandchildren suffer and will continue to suffer. Every aspect of law and acts introduced since the Australia Act, both state and federal, have absolutely no standing at law under the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about your local council, what dribble they've come out with and how much you've had to pay them to get your permits and everything. They're operating outside the law. Every court case you've ever had to face, speeding, fine, anything that you've ever had to face, unlawful. I want you to think of every planning act, every farmer who's had to fight the NRM board or whatever they are. Illegal, unlawful. And I now call on every member of parliament, both state and federal, to prove me wrong. There was a referendum on the 25th of July in '88 to recognise local governments in the Constitution. It was not carried. It failed. But again, in direct violation of the referendum of the will of the people, Bob Hawke introduced the Local Government Act. Every local government, every council member that's ever sat since 1986 has created treason by impersonating a government entity. Again, he broke the highest law in the land, and every state leader also broke the law. You got to understand the amount of criminality that you're dealing with, and wondering why you can't get in front, wondering why we don't have jobs, wondering why they're bringing in 4, 5, 7 visa workers, wondering why they're screwing this nation to the ground. Harry Gibbs, poor old Harry's dead now. I therefore have come to the conclusion that the current legal and political system in use in Australia and its states and territories has no basis at law. Sir Harry Gibbs, High Court Judge. This isn't just me waffling on, banging on, making noise, trying to stir something up. This is fact. Come on, Australia. Look, we're damn near at the 11th of the 11th. And those people who went to war in the First World War, the Second World War, and had themselves blown to the absolute crapper, destroyed their lives. And in the First World War, over 60% of Australian males over the age of 17, I think it was, were either killed, wounded, or damaged in the First World War. The price this country's paid for freedom, and all you can do is sit there and bloody click like on Facebook. What, you can go to the football grand final, 100,000 of you can go and yell and scream and barrack for 36 millionaires kicking bags of wind around a paddock. You can't stand up for your own nation? What the hell? The Governor General's, this is Harry Gibbs, right? And he's wrote a letter, and this is just a couple of little excerpts out of it, but listen to this. The Governor General's letters patent is a comedy of errors. We are greeted in the name of the Queen of Australia, whoever the hell she is, right? That's in actual fact just an entity on a piece of paper. who suddenly becomes the Queen of the United Kingdom in the next paragraph. I therefore have come to the conclusion that the current legal and political system in Australia and territories has no basis at law. My advice, now this is him talking to other judges, other High Court judges. My advice is to adjourn any case that challenges the authority of the letters patent, and under no circumstances hear a case that challenges the validity of a state or federal constitution. It is the politicians who are using us as pawns without them having to face the music. So what he's saying there is the politicians created this bloody mess. Let them find a way out of it and not go back crying to the High Court. These matters are of concern to politicians. Let them sort these problems out and accept any inherent risks themselves, because they created it. They created it. So it's time to put the heat, to put the torch to them. Put a little bit of pressure on the local politicians, every one of them. The enormous amount of issues and problems that keep us ineffective in stopping the destruction of Australia. It's now time for every interest group to do what the government thinks you won't do. Join forces. Let's get together. Let's shout with just one voice. I know we've all got different aspects that we're looking at, but until we bring them under the law of the Constitution, they can keep doing whatever they like. Stand back to back, demand that this country and its people be returned to the lawful Constitution. Look, I've got all this stuff listed here. There's farmers in need. The Chinese influence in government is just sickening. I mean, China buying our farms and infrastructure again, lending Victoria billions and billions of dollars, and Daniel Andrews, the moron, has signed off on it, and China will own Victoria because Andrews will never be able to pay the loan, and so they will own it. Totally inadequate pensions and social security. Our pensioners, the old age people here, they built this damn nation, and the government stole the pension fund, and now they're telling them they can't afford to feed them. Give them an extra $150, $200 a week. Why? They've already paid for it in their taxes. 7% of the tax goes into the pension fund. Excessive foreign aid, over $4 billion going out the door. If you can't look after your own house, don't look after your neighbours. Bank corruption, manufacturing destroyed. Look, it goes on and on and on. Money restrictions. Scott Moron's money restrictions. Yeah, right. Let's restrict their bloody money. How do you do that? Well, demand that the tax department prove that they have the right to demand tax under threat or menace. Our free speech is being taken away from us. Hell, I'm going to be in trouble. 457 visa labour workers, allowing migrant groups to operate under their own separate cultural laws. How many wives do you have? One. Why don't you have two? Because it's against the law. Well, what about these mob? They can have as many as they like and still get paid Social Security without doing a damn day's work. Chuck them out, not on, right? Selling water to speculators and stealing water. Oh, yeah, the Chinese are good at that. Let's have a look. This is how insane this country's become. The investigation into banks, tens of thousands of laws broken, millions of dollars misappropriated or stolen, money laundering proven, unlawful contracts proven, businesses destroyed proven, generational farms stolen proven, life savings stolen proven, false documents created proven, extortion proven, and possibly hundreds of suicides. How many CEOs, CFOs, account managers, branch managers, board members have been found guilty of these crimes? They're crimes. Who took responsibility? Who's been charged? What court have they appeared in? And what penalty has been paid and by whom? Ladies and gentlemen, if you went and stole $50 off your neighbour, you would go to court. If you went and stole $100,000, you would go to jail. You would have a criminal charge against you. You would have a criminal record. Oh, but not in Australia, not if you're a banker, right? No, 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 no. Part 5, the powers of the Parliament. The Parliament shall, subject to this Constitution, have the power to make laws for the peace, order and good government. I think they failed. I think the Parliament failed, the courts failed, the investigators failed, the banks win, and the people lose again. When are you going to say enough? If 100,000 of you can go to a footy match and yell and scream and carry on, and a couple of million of them watch it on TV and get all hung up about it, when are you going to say enough about this? Selling water to commercial speculators. Food producers are unable to survive, right? So what do you want to do? Let's all become a net importer of food. Let's get our milk from China, where they won't even drink the crap themselves, right? They can't survive due to the lack of water or the excessive high cost. Section 100, the Commonwealth shall not by any law or regulation of trade or commerce abridge the right of a state or the residents therein to reasonable use of the waters of rivers for conservation or irrigation. You can't dam off the top of the Darling. It's not reasonable. The government, everything points back to that house. There's so many different things going on, but it all fingers point back to that house. Those who would destroy your nation have separated water from land and have made it a tradable commodity unlawfully. This is because they are not a lawful government. They are just a massive corporation stealing every right and every dollar from you that they can. They are not operating under a lawful constitution. And who the bloody hell's okaying all these sales of our farms and infrastructure? Who are these people? Right? Let's have a look at investment. Investment, in an economic sense, an investment is the purchase of goods that are not consumed today but are used in the future to create wealth. In finance, an investment is a monetary asset purchased with the idea that the asset will provide income in the future or will later be sold at a higher price for a profit. The Foreign Investment Review Board. Foreign investment. It's not Australian investment these people are looking after. They are there to look after and give advice to foreign investment. Because once you sell something, you no longer get the higher price for it, the future profits. So these people are all about protecting the foreign investors. Let's have a look at them. The chairman, David Irvine. Let's have a look at David. David is a former Director General of both the Australian Security and Intelligence Organisation and the Australian Secret Intelligence Service. He is also a former Australian ambassador to China. Well, bugger me. I wonder what David's doing these days. I wonder how many mates he's got in China. I wonder, David, I just wonder what it is that makes a man like you sell your nation and put a smile on your face while you do it. Beats me. Teresa Dyson, a board member since January 2018. Miss Dyson's current directorships include Seven West Media Limited, Energy Queensland Limited, Energy Super and Gold Coast Hospitals, Hospital and Health Board, and she is a former chair and member of the Board of Taxation. I think Teresa would know a way around a deal or two. No benefit to Australia, but Teresa would be doing okay. Ms. Alice Williams, director at JP Morgan. Oh my God, there's the bank man back again. And Rothschilds, oh, more bank people. You put all these people together and you can see what a cozy little group they got going here. And she's been a consultant to listed corporations in Australia and the Gulf states, the Arab nations. You got to wonder, don't you? This is just unbelievable. Oh my God, look at this. Tricky Nick Mitchin, right? He was the Minister for Industry, Science and Resources from 98 to 2001, the Minister for Finance and Administration to 2007. And while in office, he held the post of the Leader of the Government in the Senate and the Vice President of the Executive Council. I wonder how many strings Nick has been pulling and for how much. You just got to wonder. Now, what you think is a lawful government is in actual fact just a corporate takeover of our nation. The new Parliament House is the UN-backed corporate headquarters. That's it. There was nothing too much wrong with the old Parliament House. They say it was too small. Well, East Wing and West Wing combined with Parliament House has more room in it than this thing. But anyway, don't let me spoil their little game. The High Court has ruled that Section 44 of the Constitution must be upheld. If one section of the Constitution must be upheld, it stands that every section must be upheld. Laws of equity must apply. A maximum law is this: you have the authority over that which you create. Now, I'm not going to get into a religious argument with you, but God created everything. And if you don't think he did, you have a crack at it, right? Now, God created man. The created cannot be greater than that which created it. So, man cannot be greater than its creator. Man did not want to be governed by God, so man created governments. The created cannot be greater than that which created it. The government cannot be greater than you. The government must be your servant. The government then created corporations, companies, and entities. You, with your name in all capitals. Right? It's on your license. It's on your birth certificate. It's everywhere. They create an entity. Then they convince you that they are your masters. But remember, the created cannot be greater than that which created it. So if you elect to be operating as an entity, yes, your master is your government. But however, if you elect to operate as your man, the government must serve you, because the government is not greater than that which created it. Are you the entity, or are you the man/woman? Now, every supposed government entity that is demanding any type of compliance or monetary payment, both state and federal, we ask you to show the people who are your creators your documents of authority over us. To the Governor-General of Australia, produce the documents, the lawful constitution documents that give you the authority to swear in our Parliament under the proper letters patent of 1901, not the letters patent created by the constitutional arrangements that created the Australia Act of 1986 to bring about the Commonwealth of Australia under the entity, the Queen of Australia. Because if you do not have the proper authority, then we do not have a proper government. Section 51 of the Parliament, the legislative power of the Commonwealth shall be vested in the Federal Parliament, which consists of the Queen, a Senate, and a House of Representatives, and which is hereinafter called the Parliament, or the Parliament of the Commonwealth. Now, which Queen are we talking about? What's this thing with the Queen? The Queen, the lawful Queen, is the Queen of the United Kingdom, Elizabeth II. Right? Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, this is how she's known, by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and of her other realms and territories, the Queen, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith, protector of the realm. That's the Queen. Not the Queen of Australia. Two different things. Totally different things. Every sitting member in the Parliament, sitting in both houses, Produce the lawful documents that give you the constitutional authority to make any laws, sign any treaties, sell any assets that belong to the Australian people. Produce it. I'm going to send this video to every email I got in Parliament. And I'm going to demand you bloody produce it. And if you can't produce it, I'm going to ask you to just beg forgiveness, lay down your pen and walk out. Every law, every foreign treaty, every dollar given in foreign aid, every farm and every asset and every house that's been sold to foreign investors since 1986 is a criminal act. Every court hearing in every state has been outside the lawful parameters of the Constitution of the Australian Commonwealth. It is now time for every interest group to do what the government thinks you won't do. Let's join forces. Come on, let's get together. Let's shout with one voice. Let's stand with back to back. You know, we've got a voice. We can hear it at the football matches. We'll stand back to back, demand that this country and its people be returned to the lawful constitution. Whoops. Here's a few emails. Now, you can't download them off this video, but you can write them down. I'll just talk about this for a minute. You want to send these people some emails. Now, I know it's easy for them to flick the email, but I'll tell you what, they'd have a full-time job if 20 million of us sent an email, right? Wouldn't be hard. Make up one email, pretty simple, right? Shoot it off to them. The Minister for Immigration, right? Scott Moron, Prime Minister. Josh Hamburger, right? Come on, Minister, this guy here, the Minister for Regional Service, Decentralisation and Local Government, demand that he bloody produce some documents that Bob Hawke did not break the Constitution when he created the Local Government Act. The Minister for Water and Resources, little proud. I don't think he's very proud at all. I wouldn't be proud of what he's done. Unbelievable. Let's get into them. They're our servants. Your greatest enemy is fear. Oh yeah, but what if they do this or what if they do that? They are bargaining on you being scared. You are the masters. They are the imposters. They're the thieves. Stand up. There's really, you know, like, come on. Do you think those poor buggers that went to war in the First World War weren't scared? They were terrified. Those blokes that landed at Gallipoli, seeing their mates shot to shit before they even stood on the beach. You think they weren't scared, but they still charged? Those people in Flanders Fields, thousands of them, blown to smithereens. You think they weren't scared? What were they fighting for? They were fighting for their country. They were fighting for their family's future. They were fighting just to survive. Well, so are you. We don't have bombs and bullets blowing us up. What we've got is fear raging inside us like a bunch of cowards. Come on, Australia, you're better than this. That is a copy of the original letters patent. Our flag is upside down because our nation is in total distress. This is what we need our country governed and ruled by, and it's all on you. I love this country. I don't belong to any particular group of people. I am just one person. I am not a terrorist. I am a proud Australian, patriotic father, husband, and grandfather. And I am terrified for where this country is going to end if somebody doesn't stand up. And so I thought that somebody best be me. If I'm going to lead, I'll lead by example. And I'm asking you, lead by your example. Or if you have grandchildren, sit them down and explain to them that you're too scared, you're just yellow, and you don't have the courage to stand up for their future. Tell your children that you hope they survive under Sharia law or Chinese rule because you're just too damn scared. I love this country. I love its people. And I will do whatever I possibly can with the means that I possibly have to protect it and them. The beginning, I hope. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this little chat. I'm sorry we had to do it again. God bless Australia. Good luck. We'll see you again soon.